Well, good morning and welcome to the bridge. Why don't we stand and sing this song together? Come on, let's go.
Oh, that was pretty aggressive, but it wasn't that aggressive.
All right, let's go. Let's sing together.
You're not done yet. God of the promise, God of the future, we see beginning and end. God of the rescue, God of the breakthrough, how great is your faithfulness. Your glory come down. Don't hold back, don't hold back. You're up to something right now. You're doing a new thing right now. God, let your glory come down. Don't hold back, don't hold back. You've been mountains right now. Chains right now, and God, let your glory come down. Don't hold back, don't hold back. Eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard, no one could ever comprehend. Your word will be enough, your promise we will trust. Greater things are still
Go ahead and grab a seat. Good morning, welcome, whether you're joining us online or you're right here in person. It's great to have them. There you go. It's great to have them at the works. It's great to have you with us as well, and we're so glad that you are here. If you're newer with us, my name is Chris, and I'm just thrilled that you have joined us today. If you are online and joining us, we'd love for you to go to our website and click the New Here button. We'd love to get to know you. If you're in the room, we've got a special spot out in the lobby for you. We've got a New Here kiosk. If you're newer here and haven't gone and visited our guest service there, we'd love for you to do so. Again, we'd love to connect with you, say hello, and we'd love to give you a free gift as well. On top of that, If you're here, or maybe you're watching online, but you're in the Ottawa area, we've got a few spots left for tonight. We've got our new here event called an Evening of Connection. We are doing a potluck for new people down in the kids wing, and we'd love for you to be part of it. Maybe it's your first week here and you just want to jump right in, great. But maybe you've been coming out for a little while and you're still kind of newer here, but you don't really have an opportunity to connect. You haven't kind of connected with people around you. You come in on a Sunday, you hear the message, you hear the music, and you go home because you don't really have anyone to hang out with. Well, we'd love for you to connect with some other people, and we'd love to have you tonight. It's at 5:30, it's a potluck, so bring a little something along, and we'd love to have you join us. I've been a part of it. I'm gonna be a part of it tonight as well. Jeremy will be there, a few other people on our team, and we would love to have you. So if you are interested in joining us for that, we'd love for you to go to bridgechurch.ca/top3, or you can scan one of the many QR codes around here for the top 3, and we'd love to have you a part of that. Again, just an opportunity to connect. We'd hate for you to just come here and head out the doors. We want to make sure you connect with some other people because life is better together. But we're going to throw things back to the band, so I can get you to stand back up another time and sing along.
Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we want to know you more and more. We're hanging on every word. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we only want to hear your voice. We're hanging on every word. Can speak to us, Lord. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we only wanna hear your voice. We're hanging on every word. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we want to know you more and more. We're hanging on every word. 'Cause when you speak, when you move, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see. And what we see when you come in the room, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see. And what we see, it changes everything. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we're leaning into all you are. Everything else can wait. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, come now and breathe upon our hearts. Come now and have your way. 'Cause when you speak, when you move, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see. And what we see when you come in the room, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see. And what we see, changing everything. When you move all our fears. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we're leaning into all you are. Everything else can wait. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we're leaning into all you are. Everything else can wait.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Grab a seat. Well, we're going to throw things over to Scott and the message in just a minute. But if you are married, I've got something that is coming up that I want you to know about. Back by popular demand, we are running date night. Again, if you weren't here before, we've advertised this. This is a 7-week date with your spouse. 7, not consistently. You're like, I've got a job. Each week, we want you to go on a date for an hour, maybe a couple hours with your spouse, but we want to do it with a purpose. So when we've done it before, last time we did it online. It was a great opportunity to kind of meet some other people. This time we're going to run things a little differently because we know schedules can be a little difficult. I don't know about you. In my household, just the schedule between my wife and I can be difficult. Never mind other people's schedules. So what we're going to do is, if you sign up for this, for 7 weeks, starting on the 20th of February, we are going to send you at the beginning of the week, I believe on the Monday, we're going to send you the curriculum for that week. And then as a couple, whatever time works for you, maybe you've got young kids and like my house, like nothing's happening before 8 o'clock. Like once the kids are in bed, then we can have like a real conversation. Maybe for you, you've got older kids and they sleep in until like noon and you're like, hey, in the morning, it's great. You know, whatever works for you, whatever day of the week for you, you can do that with your spouse, watch the curriculum and have some conversations. Maybe you are newlyweds, maybe you've married for many years, maybe your marriage is really, really struggling, maybe your marriage is doing great, or somewhere in between. The fact is, every marriage can use a little help. Every marriage with intentionality can get better. So we're gonna invite you to participate in this. We're gonna send you a box of things to kind of do these dates with your spouse, but it's all about intentionally making time for each other, making time to have conversations that maybe for some of you you've never had before. Maybe it's been a while, maybe life is just getting busy. We want you to have intentional conversations with your spouse to make it better. When we did this before, people loved it. We had all sorts of people wanting to sign up. Maybe the day didn't work. Well, this is why we want to do this differently this year. So whatever day of the week works for you, you and your spouse can do it. So if you're interested in participating in this, go to bridgechurches.ca/top3 and you'll see a little date night button there. Again, there'll be some more information. You can register there. We would love for you and your spouse to be a part of it, to make your marriage a priority over those next 7 weeks. All right, well, if you've been joining us over the last few weeks, we have been in the land of Dr. Seuss. We've been in the land of wisdom from Solomon, and today we can continue. So check out the screen.
Up at Lake Winnebago, the far northern shore, lives a huge herd of moose, about 60 or more. And they all go around in a big happy bunch looking for nice tender moose moss to munch. For the moose moss that day was especially fine. When it happened that Thidwick, the last moose in line, saw a binglebug sitting. The bug called out, "Hey, it's such a long road and it's such a hot day. Would you mind if I rode on your horns for a way?" "Of course not," smiled Thidwick, the big-hearted moose. "I'm happy my antlers can be of some use." So the binglebug picked out a nice easy seat and the moose went on looking for moose moss to eat. Well, an hour or so later, the bug heard a squeak and he heard the small voice of a tree spider speak. "I say," said the spider, "you've got a nice place. That moose seems quite friendly, has such a nice face. If I got on too, do you think he would mind?" "Hop aboard," laughed the bug, "and I think that you will find that the moose won't object. He's the big-hearted kind." And the very next thing the poor animal knew, a bobcat and turtle were living there too. Now what was the big-hearted moose going to do? A host has to put up with all kinds of pests, for a host above all must be nice to his guests. They asked in a fox who jumped in from the trees. They asked in some mice and they asked in some fleas. They asked a big bear in, and then, if you please, came a swarm of 362 bees. Poor Thidwick sank down with a groan to his knees. And then came something that made his heart freeze. Bullets came zinging right past Thidwick's face. Guns were bang-binging all over the place. Thidwick took to his heels with a load on his head. With 500 pounds on his horns, the moose fled. He could have run faster without all those pests, but a host above all must be nice to his guests. Up canyon, off cliff, over wild rocky trail, with bullets bouncing around him like hail. Then finally they had him. He gasped. He felt faint, and the whole world grew fuzzy. Thidwick was finished completely. Or was he? Finished? Not Thidwick, decidedly not. It's true, he was in a most terrible spot, but now he remembered a thing he'd forgot. A wonderful something that happens each year to the horns of all moose and the horns of all deer. Today was the day Thidwick happened to know that old horns come off so that new ones can grow. His old horns today are where you knew they would be. His guests are still on them, all stuffed as they should be.
Tragic story, isn't it? Man. Church, how many of you read that book? Anybody? Nobody? I see that hand. Praise the Lord. Okay, we've got 2 people. Awesome. Well, make 3. That was one of my favorite Dr. Seuss books growing up, and I gotta tell you, this series has been a lot of fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've gotten a lot out of it. If you're joining us for the first time today, special hello and welcome to you. This has just been a lot of fun looking at this series, and we hope that our time together today has been and will continue to be encouraging and uplifting to you. For those of you at home joining us, we're so thankful you're with us wherever you are right now, and glad that you're joining us. And you know, the older I get, I've said this before, but I'm becoming more aware of it. The older and older I get, the more and more time seems to just fly by. Have you ever noticed that? Do you ever find yourself saying, like, where did the time go? I find myself saying that more and more. Like, I remember back in September, October, when I knew this series was coming in January and February, and I knew what I was going to be talking about. I knew then what I was going to be talking about now, but for now to be in week 5 of this series already, to be in February already. How many of you ready for 2023 to be over already? Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things. I'm like, man, where did the time go? Like week 5, it's hard to believe it. And if you are joining us for the first time, or if this series is brand new to you, what we've been doing in this series, as Chris mentioned, we're basically looking at the writings of both Dr. Seuss and Solomon, and we're discovering together how their writings provide all of us with words of wisdom to live by. And so far, we've looked at the famous, Oh, the Places You'll Go. That was a lot of fun. We've looked at the more unknown and obscure Yertle the Turtle and What Pet Should I Get? Last week, we looked at Dr. Seuss's first book that he ever wrote, And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street. And today we're looking at one of my personal favorites, Thidwick, the Big-Hearted Moose. I love this story, and like all the other books that we've opened up in this series, there's a lot of different directions we could take this. Like there's a lot of different angles to tackle this one. But for today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus in on something that Dr. Seuss reveals that isn't obvious on the outset, but it's a reality that leads to tragedy, and we're all very capable of experiencing it. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. But before we get to that, before we get there, I wanna actually go quickly back to the beginning of the series, back to part 1. For those of you that were around for that, if maybe you watched it or listened to it later, this will be a little bit of review for you. But for those of you that are joining us for the first time, this will put the content of today in better context for you. Back in week 1, we looked at, Oh, the Places You'll Go. And in light of all the places that each one of us could go in life, we talked about that. The question, in light of all the places we could go in life, the question that each of us, regardless of age, regardless of your beliefs, the question that each of us needs to ask and answer is, how do I know, not the places I could go, but how do I know if I'm actually gonna get to the places that I want to go? And it's supposed to be there on my screen, but it's not there. And so how do I know if I'm actually gonna be able to read the slide that I want to see? That's gonna be a problem. So I don't know, Matt or whoever up there, if you're able to help me with that. But that's the question that every single one of us needs to ask and answer. How do I know if I'm gonna get to the places that I wanna go? And to answer that question, or at least one of the ways to answer that question, is to actually look at the wisdom, the writings of Solomon, who in his God-given wisdom said, look, there are a lot of places that you can go in life, but one of the ways that you can know for certainty, hey buddy, how you doing? Everybody say hi to Chris. Give it up for Chris. Man. Yeah, he's got the toughest job here at the church. And he does it so well. Well, everybody give him a round of applause. Let's just make this moment more awkward as we can. Let's just really just lean into it wholeheartedly. But yeah, how do I know if I'm going to get to the place I want to go? The way to answer that, or at least one of the ways, is to look at Solomon. And Solomon said this in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. It reads kind of like a fortune cookie, but it's profound. Here's what he said. He said, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple, they keep going and suffer for it. So here's Solomon in his God-given wisdom. He says the prudent or the wise person, they see danger and they take refuge. They do something. They take appropriate action. The simple, on the other hand, they just keep going. Head down, they just keep going, thinking somehow it's all going to work out in the end. And in the end, Solomon says, they suffer for it. And it's because of this possibility that each one of us could experience in our lives. It's because of that I encourage you and challenge you to begin praying a prayer in your life. And the words don't really matter. You can pray it however you want, but it's something, the sentiment is something like this. Heavenly Father, help me to see trouble coming long before it gets here. Like, Heavenly Father, before I hit the wall, before I drive over a cliff, help me to see trouble coming long before it gets here. Give me the wisdom to know what to do. And then, God, give me the courage, give me the strength to actually do it. This is a prayer that I pray in my life. It's a prayer I hope that you will pray in your life. And as you do, my prayer for you throughout this series, as I said, my prayer for you is that you would let Solomon's God-given wisdom do its work in you. That's my prayer for you, because if you do, I believe the Lord will use this wisdom to both protect you and prosper you. That's what wisdom, in its truest sense, that's what wisdom will do for you. It will protect you in such a way that you will prosper in life. And don't mistake prosperity for financial blessing. That's not necessarily the case. But prosperity meaning that you will win in life. And wisdom will protect you in such a way that you can win in life. And so with that as kind of the foundation for this whole series, today I want to zoom in on Thidwick, the big-hearted moose. And what I want to talk about is something that Dr. Seuss said kind of quickly. We kind of read right over it, probably as Jeremy narrated that story. But it's this. Today I want to focus in on the fallacy of the easy seat. The fallacy of the easy seat. And see, here's the thing. The temptation in life, regardless of what you believe, regardless of your age, the temptation in life is to be so fixated on what you want, to so desire what you want that you actually become blind to the truth. To get to the point in your life where you see things as you want to see them. You see what you want to see, not what's really going on, not what's really there. And that can happen to any of us, if not all of us. And to help try to understand this, I brought a little bit of an illustration or an example. I have with me a coin. Can everybody see that? Everybody, you can see that at home? I got a coin with me. Now, this is a real coin. This isn't one of those like dollar store ones that's got chocolate in the middle. It wouldn't have lasted 2 services. So this is a real coin. And I wonder, how many sides does this coin have? 2. It's not a trick question. Okay. Yes, there's 2 sides to this coin. Every coin, there are 2 sides to every real coin. There is not a one-sided coin. Every coin has 2 sides, and a wise person understands. We all know that this is true, but in life, a wise person understands that there are 2 sides to everything. That someone who is wise understands that there's 2 sides to everything, that there is a blessing, that there is the blessing side of things in life, but a wise person understands that there's not just the blessing side of life, there is the other side of that coin, and that is the burden. A wise person understands that you can't have a picnic without ants, right? That you can't have credit card purchases without credit card payments. A wise person understands that. A wise person understands that you can't have, a long-lasting marriage or a long-lasting romance without what? Selflessly serving on the other side. That's why date night is so important. If you haven't registered for date night, you really want to do that. That's one of the things you learn. That you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to have a great, life doesn't work like that. No. You can't have a lasting romance without the other side of that coin, selflessly serving. Wise people understand that. Wise people understand that you can't have the joy of having a child without the other side of the coin. Sleepless nights and poopy diapers. That's just how it works. That's the other side of the coin. You can't have the blessing of a baby without the other side. Poopy diapers and sleepless nights. It's just the way things work. It's just the way life works. And wise people understand that. Wise people understand that you can't have a beautiful garden without battling weeds. Just can't do it. Wise people understand that you can't have life in God without dying to yourself. Wise people understand that. Wise people understand that there is no freedom without someone assuming responsibility. It's just not possible. Wise people understand that that's how real life works, that there are always two sides. And what makes someone simple, what makes someone foolish is when they only see and convince themselves that there is only one side of the coin. That's how they see life. That's what I want out of life. That's what I see in life. So that's what is. And that's what you see in this story that Dr. Seuss wrote, Thidwick, the big-hearted moose. That's what you see when you meet the Bengal bug. Now, Jeremy did a great job of narrating or summarizing that story, but I want to take you back to the very beginning. I want you to see what Dr. Seuss says. He says, when it happened that Thidwick, the last moose in line, saw the Bengal bug sitting, the bug called out to him. Remember this? The bug called out, hey, it's such a long road and it's such a hot day. Would you mind if I rode on your horns for a way? And Thidwick, this big-hearted moose, out of the kindness of his heart, he gave the Bengal bug an easy seat. And see, in life, what happens is we want to take the easy seat and we believe that easy seat leads to an easy street. That somehow just kind of life will go on and I'll kind of just live my life just kind of loosey-goosey and everything's going to work out in the end. Somehow, I don't know how, but it's going to work out in the end. And that's what the Bengal bug believed. And so he just hitches a ride. He takes the easy seat thinking that somehow or some way it's going to end at Easy Street. And along the way, he invites other people to take this similar ride, and he just kind of believes that everything is going to work out somehow in the end. And if you follow that moment, if you follow that decision that this Bengal bug makes and the decision that the other riders make, if you follow that all the way to the end of the story, it ends, as Dr. Seuss says, as you knew it would end. It says, Thidwick's old horns are where you knew they would be. And this is so important. Dr. Seuss acknowledges to his early readers and to the adults, to the parents that would read this to their kids, he acknowledges there's something in you and there's something in me that kind of knows from the outset where this story is going to end or how this story is going to end, that it was kind of obvious that this is where it was going. And he kind of lets you know. He says that his guests, all of them, they're all still on those horns stuffed as they should be. And it's kind of like you read that and you think, wow, that's a little bit graphic for children. Like you got all these animals and they're just all kind of stuffed on someone's mantle. But there was this thing that Dr. Seuss acknowledges. You kind of know where this is going. That for the Bengal bug and all the other riders, this is what happened to them when they were looking for an easy seat to lead them to Easy Street. That things are just going to kind of work out in the end. And see, all of us have found ourselves in that kind of a similar place in life at so many different times and so many different areas and seasons of our lives. It's happened to, if not all of us, most of us, that we kind of get to that place where the Bengal bug and his friends are, where they kind of get to the place at the end where their lives end up in tragedy. And my guess is regardless of your age, regardless of what you do or don't believe, we've all gotten to that place in life where we think like the Bengal bug and his friends that we can just kind of hitch a ride on the horns of a moose and not be subjected to the reality of a moose in the wild. They're hunted, that we don't put two and two together. We just kind of think Easy Seat is just going to take me where I somehow want to end up, that everything is going to be okay in the end. And see, that's what makes someone foolish. That's how a fool, that's how a simple person, that's how a naive person sees life. That they just see in life what they want to see. They don't see that there are two sides to everything. They don't see that there is a burden that comes with a blessing. They don't see that there is a price to be paid for the reward. This idea that I can just kind of do what I want and somehow magically everything's going to somehow work out in the end. That somehow I can have a picnic and not have ants. This idea that I can have a lasting romance and not selflessly serve my other half. That somehow I can have the joy of having a child but not deal with poopy diapers and sleepless nights. This idea that I can have credit card purchases without credit card payments. Doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. But that's how simple people, that's how foolish people see life. They believe that I can have this life in God and I can call myself a Christian and not die to myself. This idea that there can be freedom for me or for our country or for our world with nobody having to bear any responsibility. See, that's how fools see life, and that's what makes them a fool. That's what makes them simple. They see in life what they want to see, and they don't see that there's another side to that coin. And we've all been there in so many different ways of our lives. And see, the thing that's driving me in this series, the reason we're spending 6 weeks in this series talking about words of wisdom to live by, is because for me, I continue to see, I spend so much of my week, so much of my life spending time with people where there is this huge disconnect between where people want to end up tomorrow and the decisions that they're making today. That I spend so much of my life walking with and working with people whose lives have crashed and burned, whose marriages are upside down, people who are drowning in a sea of debt. And my guess is you have too, right? My guess is you've had friends or you have friends and you sit down with them and they tell you their story, and you've heard these kind of stories before. That you sit down with someone you know, someone you care about, and they're telling you their story, and they're so brokenhearted about where they are, what's happened or not happened in their life, and you listen to their story, and they're so sincere, and they're so brokenhearted, right? And as they're telling you their story, you're thinking in that moment with them the very same things I've thought when I've been in moments with other people. You're thinking, what did you expect? This is what you're thinking. What did you expect, right? I mean, there's this huge gap between, their hopes and their dreams and the decisions that they've made and are making. And that's what you see in this story, Thidwick, the big-hearted moose, and the Bengal bug. There was this huge gap. This bug and all of his friends, they ended up stuffed on a mantle because they made a critical mistake, didn't they? They believed that there was only one side to the coin, that there was an easy seat that led them or would lead them to Easy Street. That they could just do what they wanted and somehow it was just gonna all work out and be okay in the end. This idea that they could ride on and live in the horns of a moose and not be subjected to the realities of being a moose. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Somehow this bug and his friends, they couldn't see the consequences of the decisions that they were making. They couldn't see that their decisions were leading to their own demise. And again, regardless of age, regardless of belief, this happens all the time, and it happens to so many of us. We've all been there. We're easy seat, we think leads to Easy Street, and it just doesn't take us where we want to go. So, in light of that, I kind of want to take some time, and I want to look and I want to move from Seuss to Solomon, because Solomon, in his God-given wisdom, he kind of tells us a story that's almost the same as the story Dr. Seuss told. If you're joining us for the first time, you wouldn't know this, but Solomon is King David's son. King David was the king of Israel, David and Goliath, David and Bathsheba. That same David was Solomon's father. And when he died, Solomon became king of the nation of Israel. And when that happened, God extended an offer or an opportunity to him that every single one of us will have a shot at. He basically said, ask me for anything. I'm not gonna give you 3 wishes, I'm gonna give you one. Ask for one thing and you will have it. Now, Solomon was around 17 or 18 years old when he became the king, and so he didn't ask for long life, he didn't ask for lots of money, he didn't ask for the death of his enemies, he asked for wisdom. And so I want you to see, because this is important to understand this wisdom, this was God's response to Solomon after he made the request. He said, I'm gonna give you a wise, this is God speaking, I'm gonna give you, Solomon, a wise and discerning heart. That wisdom begins in your heart, not in your head. I'm gonna give you a wise and discerning heart so that there will have never been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Solomon had the wisdom of God. Solomon's writings, the book of Proverbs, is essentially a collection of wisdom, but the wisdom isn't Solomon's, it's God's wisdom that comes to us through Solomon. It's the wisdom of God, and in this God-given wisdom, Solomon tells an interesting story. We don't know if it's a true story. We don't know if it's a parable type story like the ones that Jesus told to demonstrate or illustrate a point. We don't know if it's something that happened in the past, right? We don't know if it's fiction or nonfiction. But what we do know is that Solomon is standing at a window. Solomon is standing at a window and he's looking down on this street. And as he looks down, he sees a young man walk along this street. And in that moment, Solomon realizes that he knows the outcome of this young man's journey, but this young man doesn't. And we've all found ourselves in moments like this in different capacities in life. Maybe you've been at an intersection, right? You've been at an intersection, you see 2 cars, but they don't see each other and they're headed towards each other. And it's like, as if in that moment, it's like you can tell the future. It's like you can kind of predict what's about to happen. You're like, here it comes, and then boom, and you're like, I saw it coming. And it's like, I should go to the casino. It's like I can tell the future. I can predict things. I'm a genius. I'm like God for a moment. For some of us as parents, you know this. You've watched your child make a decision, or you've got a toddler and they're kind of moving like a bobblehead in a certain direction, and you're like, there she goes, there he goes. And all of a sudden, crash, right? We've all had those moments, right? Yes, we've all had those moments where we get a snapshot into someone's destiny or into someone's life, and we can kind of see what their outcome is going to be. It may be in a moment, it may be in an extended period of time, but we've all had those moments where we've had a glimpse or we've had a hunch into someone's, destiny or where they were going to end up in life, and that's what's happening here. And Solomon, he looks down at this situation. He looks down at this young man, and he begins to narrate the story. And so what we're going to do with the remainder of our time together today is I'm just going to kind of read this story, kind of like Jeremy read Thidwick, and I'm going to try to unpack it and hopefully help it make sense as we go through. So we're going to start. It says, at the window, this is Solomon speaking, at the window of my house, I look down through the lattice. Again, he's kind of standing at the edge of his window, and he's looking down, and here's what he sees. He's going to kind of tell us. He says, I saw among the simple, and this is important, as he narrates and navigates this guy's journey, he's going to illustrate to us the difference between someone who is prudent or wise and someone who is simple or naive. He says, I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who lacked judgment. Now, this is really important. Judgment requires time and experience. Judgment requires time and experience. And if you're young, this isn't a knock on you, this isn't a slight on you, but young people lack judgment. And it's not because you're not smart, it's because you lack time and you lack experience. Every single one of us in this room were young, and when we were young, we all lacked time and experience, so we've all lacked judgment in life. And this is why, if you're a teenager, the reason that your parents come down on you sometimes is because they have perspective that you don't have. They think that you lack judgment, and I know what you think. You're looking at them and say, I may lack judgment, but look at what you're wearing. Right? You've kind of said that, right? It's like, don't tell me you have judgment, look at those pants. Like I've said things like that. I was growing up, I said things like that to my mom all the time, right? But here's the thing, my mom and your parents, listen, they have perspective that we didn't have because they have and had time and experience, and time and experience oftentimes results in judgment. And for those of you that are my age or even a little older, you know this more than anybody because you can remember a time when you were young. Remember weren't those good days? And you were young and your parents then were the age you are now. Do you remember this? And remember back when your mom or your dad, they would look at you and remember what they'd say? Someday you'll understand. Remember that? Wasn't that fun? Right? Someday you'll understand. And if you're anything like me, what did you say back? No, I won't. I'll never be like you. I'm never going to see this like you, right? Never. And what happened? You got to the age that your mom or your dad was then, and now what do? You look at your children and what do you say? Someday you'll understand. You say to them the very same things you said you would never say because you didn't have time and you didn't have experience back then, but now you do. And as a result, you have perspective now that you didn't have then. That's why you need to listen to your mama. Okay, if you take nothing else from church today, listen to mama. Okay, so Solomon is standing at this window. He's looking down and he sees this young man walking along and he continues to narrate and navigate this story for us. He says he was going down the street near her corner. We don't know who she is. We don't know her name, but we know he's walking down there. He was walking along, it says, in the direction of her house. Get this, at twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in. I don't know if he talked like that, but it just sounds like it should be like a Harlequin romance kind of story, the way you're kind of reading this unfold and you're waiting for Jacob or Edward to show up. Like it's just this really like beautiful kind of thing that's unpacking, right? And so he's basically, and listen, you don't need to be a biblical scholar to know where this is going, do you? There's something in you, kind of like Sue said in Thidwick's story, there's something in you that already knows where this is going. Somehow there's something in you that knows where this is going to end up. Here's this guy, he's a young guy, he's walking along down the road, the sun is going down, he's heading to this woman's house, and as we're about to discover, he knows all about who this woman is. The sun's going down, he's walking down the street, there's a theme song, there's this theme song playing in his mind, it's like Born to be Wild or I Got a Feeling, depending on what generation you're from, and he's walking down and he's telling himself, this is gonna be the greatest night of my life. This is gonna be a night to remember. This is gonna be awesome. Meanwhile, Solomon, the older, wiser man, is up looking down on this same situation, and there's a soundtrack playing in his mind as well, except it's the Jaws theme. Right? Like there's this huge discrepancy, two different perspectives to this same situation. They're seeing it completely different. The young guy's walking down the street thinking this is going to be a night to remember. And Solomon is looking down at this kid's situation saying, no, this is a nightmare. And the story continues. Solomon says, then out came a woman to meet him. She came out to meet him, dressed like a prostitute, though she's not a prostitute, with crafty intent. So she comes out and he goes on, he says, she is loud and she is defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner, she lurks. And then she took hold of him. This is wild. She took hold of him. She kissed him. And with brazen face, she said, and this means absolutely nothing to us, today I have fulfilled my vows and I have fellowship offerings at home. What a potty mouth, right? Like she's just basically like, whoa. Like, I don't even know what he's supposed to. So basically what she's saying is she's saying this. She's saying, I'm not a prostitute. I look like one, but I'm not one. I have lots of money. This isn't about your money. I'm not here to get your money. She says, I have fulfilled my vows. Again, this means absolutely nothing to us. But basically what she's saying is she's saying, I've been to the temple. I've been to the temple and I've gotten squared away with God. I took my big old bucket of sin and I dumped it out at the altar. I sacrificed an animal and now I have an empty bucket and I'm ready to fill it back up with sin and I want to do that with you. And he's like, ooh, never have I ever, right? Like he's just kind of like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then she says something to him that he was certainly not expecting. She says, so I came out to meet not just anyone, I came out to meet you. I have looked for you and I have found you. And he's like, me? You came out here looking. Like he's like, all of a sudden he's like, I'm the man. This is unbelievable. This is unreal. I am the man of her dreams. This is crazy. I can't believe this. This is the stuff stories are made of. This is the stuff songs are written about. Like, I can't wait to tell my friends. This is unbelievable. I came down here hoping just to see her, but she's come out here looking for me, and the soundtrack goes up to like 8 or 9. And then she continues to talk dirty to him. Here's what she says. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. And he's like, oh, wow. I have perfume my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. And he's just like, I don't know, his jaws, like, I don't know what he's doing. But then she says, come, let's drink of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. And he just cranks the soundtrack up to 10. And he's like, I believe in miracles. Like, he's just kind of like, he's like dancing like this is unreal. I can't believe this is not what I expected. I came down here just hoping to get a glimpse of her. And she's like, man, this is crazy. I'm like a celebrity. I'm like a rock star taking the stage. I'm like a famous person who walks into a club and all eyes like, this is really happening. I can't believe it. And she continues to talk to him. She says, my husband is not at home. And he's like, I assumed that. Like, thanks for taking the one question away that I was kind of wondering about. Like, my husband is not at home. He's gone on a long journey. In other words, you don't have to rush out in the morning. We have all the time we want. We can have some coffee, have a cigarette, do a little dance. Like we've got all the time. You don't have to rush out. This is better. This is better than you expected. She says he took his purse, and that always kind of threw me off a little bit. I don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's his man bag. I don't know. But he took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. Again, she's basically saying he's going to be gone a long time. We are not in a rush. You can stay. You don't have to leave. And with these persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. And then all at once, he followed her. He followed her like a rock star taking the stage, like a celebrity walking the red carpet, like a professional athlete that women are just clamoring to sleep with. All at once, he followed her, this older, wiser man said, like an ox going to the slaughter. He's like, no, not like an ox to the slaughter, like a celebrity hitting the club, like a rock star taking the stage. And Solomon's like, no, that's not what this is. It's like an ox to the slaughter. And he's like, whoa, didn't you hear the soundtrack playing? He's like, yeah, I did. It's Another One Bites the Dust. This is not what you think. And if you don't get ox to the slaughter, let me try to make it a little clear for you. Like a deer, you're like a deer stepping into a noose till an arrow pierces his liver. Like, this is getting graphic. He's basically saying you're like a deer who's wandering through a meadow, who finds this beautiful place to settle down and nestle in, right? And then as he's kind of laying down, he gets his foot caught in the noose and he realizes, he's like, oh, and he starts yanking his hoof or whatever he's trying to get out. And he realizes, I'm in trouble. And the more and more he tries to get out, the more and more it tightens. And then out of the periphery, the hunters emerge with their bows and arrows. And from a safe distance, they fill this deer full of arrows until he breathes his last breath. And Solomon's like, do you still not see how this is not what you think it is? If not, let me give you a third one. Like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. And the young guy's going, man, you're like my mom up there. You're like my dad. You're like raining on my parade. And Solomon's like, no, you just don't see this for what it really is. You think this is a date? It's a disaster. You think it's a night to remember? This is a nightmare. You're so focused on what you're doing. I'm focused on where you're heading. All you can see is the immediate. I'm seeing the ultimate. You're so focused on the here and now, and I'm focused on tomorrow. Two contrasting perspectives of the same thing. Very different. And then Solomon, in his God-given wisdom, he pulls out of this narrative, he pulls out of this scene, and then he begins to address you, and he begins to address me. And he says this, now then, my sons, listen to me. And he repeats himself for emphasis. He says, pay attention to what I say. In other words, look up here. Everybody, hey, you down there, look up here. I need you to listen. Don't take yourself out of this equation too quickly. Don't be too quick to judge. Don't just look at her and say, oh, what a tramp, and look at him and say, oh, what an idiot. I need you to pay attention. I need you to look up here, and I need you to listen, because there is a powerful, powerful lesson in what I'm telling you. Listen to what I say, and then this is what he says. Do not let your heart, and we're going to come back to this, do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. And he's thinking, paths? What are you talking about? I'm trying to get in her bed. What are you talking about? He says, many are the victims she has brought down. In other words, he's saying, listen, I know that you're thinking, I've never felt this way before, but I'm here to tell you a lot of people have. You're thinking, wow, this is amazing. It's just me and her. That's not what this is. This is a lot of people. I know you think this is special. No, this is common. This is so predictable, it's laughable. This happens all the time. Don't fool yourself into thinking there's just one side to this coin. Don't convince yourself that there's an easy seat here that's just going to take you wherever you just kind of want to end. That's not what this is. You are not about to have some kind of special, unique experience. He says, many are the victims, and then he repeats himself for effect and for emphasis. He repeats himself, her slain are a mighty throng. In other words, buddy, you are a part of a group. This is a lot of people. A lot of people have done this. Maybe not with her specifically, but this scenario that you're playing out with the married woman whose husband's gone away, like, come on, this is so commonplace. Solomon wrote this over 3,000 years ago. Not a lot has changed, has it? Right? So many of us have been in those moments where we have taken an easy seat believing that somehow it was just going to lead to an easy street, and everything in the end was just going to somehow magically work out in the end because I want it to. We've all done that. And here's Solomon in this moment. He's saying, man, listen, this is not what you think it is. And in his God-given wisdom, Solomon would say, I can say with confidence before anything even happens that you're like an ox to the slaughter. You're like a deer that's caught in a snare. You're like, or a noose. You're like a bird caught in a snare. You're like the Bengal bug stuffed on somebody's wall. And the kid goes, man, how can you say that? You're being so judgmental. And Solomon will say, I'm not being judgmental. This is just predictable. And if you didn't get it the first couple times, let me say it again. Her house is a highway to the grave. Her house is like a 4-lane highway with a carpool lane. Lots of people have gone down this road. You aren't the first. You most certainly won't be the last. A lot of people have been and will go down this road. Don't try to convince yourself that you're about to have some unique, special experience, because you're not. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. Can it get any more graphic than that? Right? Can it get any more graphic than that? Now listen, when I started reading this story, isn't this true? When I started reading this story, there was something in you that knew where this story was going, didn't you? Even if you've never heard this before, there was something in you that knew where this is going. How is that possible? How is that possible? Because somehow we know this and can see this when it isn't us, can't we? We can so quickly and so easily and so clearly see this in the lives of other people when it's not us. But see, here's the thing. We can't continue to live with this kind of disconnect in our lives. We can't continue to live with this disconnect that our culture oftentimes hands us, this disconnect that says somehow there's an easy seat that leads to an easy street, that there's just one side of the coin, that as long as my intentions are good, as long as my intentions are pure, as long as my intentions are positive, it doesn't matter what I do, and it doesn't matter what I choose. See, we can't live with that disconnect because at the end of the day, bad decisions trump good intentions. Every single time. Bad decisions trump good intentions. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how young you are, it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't even matter what you know. Bad decisions, your bad decisions, my bad decisions trump good intentions every single time. This young fella, I'm sure he had the best of intentions. It's just one night. It's not a big deal. It's not forever. We're just going to have a good time. Nobody's going to get hurt. It's okay. Everything's just going to work out in the end. And Solomon looks down. He says, this is not what you think it is, and it's not going to end how you want it to. You are not a celebrity walking down a red carpet. You are an ox on your way to the slaughter. You are an ox on your way to the slaughter. So what does it all mean? I'm glad you asked. See, I don't know you, and I don't know your story, but I'm guessing if we sat down for a few moments and if I were to ask enough questions, my guess is that we get to the point at the end of the story where we get to this place, the same place for every single one of us. The reason that we are so, the reason you are so, the reason I am, the reason we are enamored with the wrong road, her highway, as Solomon put it, the reason we are so enamored with the wrong road is because there is something or someone on that road that has a strong emotional appeal. It is emotional. It is not rational. That's what we see in this story Solomon told about this young man, and that's what happened to the bingle bug in Seuss's story, that they somehow believed or pretended or convinced themselves that there was only one side to the coin. And you see that, and really ultimately this is all about the issue of the heart. Remember what Solomon said back just a few verses ago? He said, do not let her what? Do not let her take your heart. Do not let her steal your heart. Do not let her get her tentacles into your heart. The reason that we are so enamored with the wrong road is because there's something or there is someone on that road or on that path that has a strong emotional appeal, and they or it blind us to the truth. We can't see or we won't see things as they really are. We get to the place in life where we see what we want to see. We see things how we want to see them. We're so focused on the immediate that we don't see the ultimate. That we get to the place where we're so focused on who and what we want and what we're doing that we can't see what we're doing, where we're going, or who we're becoming along the way. And we can see this so clearly in the lives of other people when it's not us, but we don't see it or we won't see it in ourselves. All we see is the now. All we see is what we want. All we see is who we want. So as we close today, I wonder, just as Dr. Seuss acknowledged that his early readers or the parents reading this book to their kids could kind of see what was going to happen in the story, Thidwick the Big-Hearted Moose, and just like Solomon acknowledged that he could see and predict the future of this young man walking down the street, I wonder who in your life can predict your future? Who in your life can predict your future? And if the answer is no one, you're in trouble. And if the answer is someone, who is that person? And will you listen to them? Who can predict your future? If you're anything like me, it was probably only my mother. My mother was wiser than I gave her credit for. She had wisdom, she had perspective and judgment that I didn't have. My mother-in-law has it too. It's annoying. But they both have it, and I should listen to them more than I have, and I should listen to them more than I do. They have judgment, they have time, they have perspective that I don't have, and so does your mama, right? You need to listen to your mama, that if your mama was up and she's looking down the window, down at your life, and what is she saying? She's not gonna be up there just kind of looking and watching, is she? She's not gonna sit down and start writing a book in the Old Testament. Oh no, your mom, if she's anything like mine or my mother-in-law, she's gonna open that window and she's gonna yell down, baby, no, right? Don't do it. Don't go. Don't say yes. Please say no. That's not just a night. That's not just a deal. That's not just a decision. That's not just a purchase. That's taking you somewhere. Please, I know you can't see it. I couldn't see it when I was you down there then either, but now that I have some time and some experience, now that I have some perspective that I didn't have when I was like you then, I have it now. Please don't make the same mistakes that I did. Please listen to me. Your mother would say that if she's anything like mine. But maybe you're not as fortunate as I am. Maybe you don't have an amazing mom like I do. Maybe, like me, you don't have a father, didn't have a father that could speak those things into your life. Maybe you feel like you're all alone. Maybe you don't know if there's anyone that can see what's really going on in your life. And if that's you, that's why I believe in and I continue to challenge you to choose circles. Maybe you don't have a safety net. Maybe you don't have a strong family network or a strong, relational dynamic in your life that can kind of be that voice. Choose circles, because I believe with all of my heart that it's in moments of vulnerability and authenticity. It's time over time that you develop the kind of relationships where you are fully known and fully loved. And you'll have a group of people in your life, and maybe it's just one or two or three, but you will at least have a couple people in your life who know who you really are. And in those moments of truth in your life, they can come up alongside you and tap you on the shoulder. They can pick up the phone, they can send an email, they can send a text message, they can sit down over coffee and have that awkward conversation and say, Scott, I love you. Scott, I believe in you, but I've been watching you. Every move you make, every breath you take. No, I've been watching you. And Scott, I see the behavior in your life. I see the decisions you're making. And I'm just concerned you're heading down a really dangerous road. And I'm here to help you get off that road and to make a different choice, make a different decision. That someone like that in your life who's kind of looking down on your life and they're saying, I think you're heading in a dangerous direction. Who in your life can predict your future? For so many of us, this is almost impossible to see in ourselves, and very rarely can we figure it out on our own. So I wonder, would you consider choosing circles? You're gonna hear us talk about this so much, not because we've got nothing else to talk about, because you need it so much. You need the voice of judgment in your life, not to be judgmental, but to provide judgment and perspective so that you can be the person you want to be and get to the places you so desperately want to go. You need the voice of perspective and judgment in your life, and so do I. We need it so badly, or else we're gonna end up like this kid in Solomon's story, like an ox to the slaughter, or we're gonna end up like the bingle bug in Dr. Seuss's story, stuffed on a wall somewhere. Choose circles, invite those relationships, take a step to developing those relationships in your life so the voice of perspective and judgment will be present in your life when you need it most, because that's what you need the most. You wish, if you're anything like me, you wish you could go back to when you were 13, 14, 17, 21, 25, 30, 31. I'm skipping some numbers, that's not my math. You get it. You wish you could go back and have then the voice in your life that you needed. But don't live another day of your life, regardless of how old you are, how young you are, without it today. Choose circles. When you leave, I should say, the auditorium today on your left as you leave, there's a table out there and there's someone from the church who would love to talk to you about how you could take a step towards developing those kind of relationships and having that voice in your life. I hope that you'll do that, because if you're anything like I've been over the years, you'll sit and you'll listen to this and you'll nod your head and you'll think about Swiss chalet sauce and you'll walk out the door and you'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. You're gonna log off online at home and you're gonna be like, that was kind of a cool story, and you're gonna do nothing. And then someday down the road, you're gonna be caught in a noose and you're gonna wish that you could go back. So don't do that. That's what the simple do. That's what makes someone a fool. And you're smarter than that. You're wiser than that. So choose circles and bring that voice of reason and judgment and perspective into your life today. Let me pray for you. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you so much for just the opportunity to gather again. As always, it is such a joy, having gone through a number of years where that privilege was taken from us. I'm so thankful to have it back and to be able to sit in a room like this, to have people from their homes join in as well, to be able to open up your word, a story that was written 3,000 years ago, and to see how it directly applies to each of our lives today. That's how awesome you are, and that's how amazing your wisdom is. And I pray for every single person in this room, young and old. I pray for every single person at home today that God, you would take this wisdom and that they would allow it to do its work in them. So God, that they would be protected in such a way that they could prosper in the ways that they so desperately want to in life. God, I pray that you would give us, God, you'd help us to see trouble coming a long way away, that you give us the wisdom to know what to do and give us the courage and the strength to do it, I pray. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, amen, amen. I'm gonna invite you to stand with me one last time before we get you on out of here. I'm told the weather is getting warmer by the minute and we're gonna send you back out into it. But before we do, and next week we're gonna come back and we're gonna close out this series, Words to Live By. But between now and then, my good friend Emily is gonna lead us in a song, and she has the most beautiful voice. I could listen to this woman sing all day, every day. But for the next few moments, I'm gonna invite you to help me drown her out, okay? I would love for all of us to join her in song in such a way that she can't hear herself, and that we would become basically one choir filling this room and singing this song that says, "Peace, be still." In the midst of your circumstance, in the midst of all the unknowns in your life, I'm praying that there is a peace that rests over your heart and in your mind, and that you would lean into the person of God, because he is faithful, he is good, and he can be trusted. So let's join Emily and sing this song together. Peace, be still. God bless.
I don't wanna be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna feel the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't wanna fear the storm. I don't wanna fear the storm. Peace, be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna feel this way, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna feel the storm just because I hear the roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. No, I'm not gonna fear it all. Peace, be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. You speak peace, you speak peace over me. Live free, rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise
Go ahead and grab a seat. So much to take out of that sermon. One of the things I heard him say repeatedly, actually, was that he should have listened to his mama more, and that he will listen to his mother more. And his mom is actually here, so we'll make sure we get you a copy of the video today. It's gonna come in useful down the road, I'm sure. You know, it's an exciting season. We got lots coming up. We got the New Here potluck tonight. Again, if you're new, we'd love to have you part of it. We've got this date night coming up where marriages are going to be strengthened and better because of it. In a few weeks, we've got a baby dedication where parents are saying, hey, we love the Lord and we love our children, and we're going to do our absolute best. And we promise to do our absolute best to point them back to the Lord and Savior. And a few weeks, or the week after that, we've got a baptism as well, where we're just celebrating people going public with their faith. So much to be excited about, people to be praying over the next few weeks. But I just want to thank each person who gives as well. Because you give, these things happen. As Scott so many times has said, we don't give just to keep the lights on. We give because we're afraid of what doesn't happen if we don't. So thank you. Because of you and your generosity financially, we are able to keep the lights on. We are able to make these things happen. So thank you. If you want to give, you can hit the kiosk on the way out, or you can give bridgechurches.ca/give. Again, a huge thank you to you. We have exciting things coming up, and we want you to be a part of it. Hope you're back here next week as we wrap up this series. Until then, God bless and have an amazing week.